you have the freedom to call things to be that are not in your reality right now. And not only will other people benefit, not only can you break generational curses and all that for your family, but you can directly benefit in this time, in this life, in this month, in this year. You can change everything simply by recognizing that there's everything to be explored. Let's talk about freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want to say, I can do whatever I want to do, but then the speech and the words that we're using aren't even powerful. They're not even really trying to propel you to a new place. You're not actually forming that new relationship. It's like, well, you have the freedom to speak it. What you see, you can profess, and what you proclaim, you can have. I have this guided journal which my best friends gave to me, and it is authored by Tabitha Brown. It says Seen, Loved, and Heard, a guided journal for feeding the soul. So I got this as a gift and I was so thankful for it. And one of the prompts that I did was talking about freedom. How do you feel that you are inviting freedom into your life? What things are you doing or saying that confirm the freedom that you have? And then what things are you doing or saying that actually are demotivating you to feeling like you have true freedom? Have you ever thought about that? What things are you saying that are reminding you that those who are free in Christ are free indeed? What things are you saying that show people, oh, I'm free for a new opportunity? What things are you saying that would allow people to infer what your next season is going to look like, even though everything in your today doesn't speak to that? But you speaking to the future makes other people be like, oh yeah, her future is bright. Oh yeah, her future, she's going to be moving here, she's going to be moving there. What in your current right now are you saying or are you doing that is allowing that new thing to manifest? We don't really think about it. I haven't been thinking about it. When I say stuff, it has been off the vibes, okay? It's been off of how I feel, and I'm just kind of walking that thing out and hoping that it changes. That's not the way. That's not the way that we're taught to go about this thing. The best and most powerful way is for you to speak to what you want, to what you see, to what you're praying for, and then it will happen. And we see so many examples of this. One way that I did it recently, let me tell you something. I had no idea how I was going to pay my rent a couple months ago. I was like, okay, I gotta activate my words. I have to speak to the future, even though in my present, I have no idea how this is taking place. And I had to think about how God provided this new apartment for me. I had to think about how I have power in my prose, and the words that I speak can unlock things in the heavenlies and I can see them on the earth. I had to think about how God listens to humans. He cares about our requests. He cares about our well-being. And so I got motivation from Joshua 10. Joshua was asking for victory. In doing that, he called on the sun to stand still in the middle of the sky, in the middle of battle. He was like, hey, I need some more time. He got the time that he needed, and he got the victory that he was professing, but he had to say it out of his mouth. And then you started to see things that he could see respond to what he said. So it's like, okay, God, if you the same God that you were for Joshua, then I need you to be that for me. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna have a sun stand still moment. I'm gonna see some stuff happen, da 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 da. And then it happened. And I got my biggest gig to date. Okay, that was a big deal. And that check provided the comfort that I needed. It upped my faith. And I felt better about me using my voice because I had the freedom to call into my life what was absent before I said anything. We have that freedom in everything that we do, in every space that we're in every atmosphere we're trying to blast off to. We can speak to it, and we have the freedom of speech. You know, I saw a video of a bear that used to be in captivity. It was freed, and for 7 years post freedom, it was out in the forest, out in the wild, and yet it was circling in the same path as if it was still in a cage. I think that a lot of us treat our power in that way. We were in old seasons where maybe our power was stripped, maybe it was abused, maybe you spoke out and people didn't receive it well. Maybe in one season you felt powerful, but you're in a new season, and so it's pulling on your insecurities a little bit. And we are walking around as if we're caged because the circumstances have changed. We're walking around as if we're caged because we tried that one time and it didn't work. We're walking around acting as if we're caged because we haven't gotten the approval or the validation from other people, when really we've been freed a long time ago. Our faith has unlocked the cage door. We are able to roam about as openly as we please. We are able to go into new dimensions, new atmospheres, new stratospheres by simply saying something, by partnering with God, by repeating to him what he says about us, what he says at the earth, how it has to respond. And we have the freedom in Christ to do that. And where we get confused, where we get tripped up, where it seems to validate our insecurities, is when we don't walk in that freedom. And if I walk around in a circle and I'm like, dang, this same tree, I've been looking at this same tree for a long time. Dang, the world feels kind of small. Everything around me will seem to validate that. When in reality, if I activated the power that I have, I walked around a few paces more, I will be able to see the vastness and the openness of the opportunities that have yet to be explored. And it all comes from a recognition of freedom. Within our freedom, there are limitations. We don't have the freedom to do anything. I cannot fly like a bird right now, right? So that's real. But when we over focus on that, we miss the things that we can do. We miss the things that are within our atmosphere of influence to be able to change the very circumstances that we don't like. There's some things that I hate, okay? And I have the power to change those things. But if I focus so much on how I hate something and how it should already be how I want it to be, I'll miss that I can play a key part in changing that thing. I can play a key part in changing somebody else's day and helping them feel that much more brighter and lighter. That's what we have the awareness and the ability to be able to do. When we think about voting, you have so many candidates that are on the ballot. You have so many options of things that you can do. If you're planning a trip with a friend and you're like, I want to go somewhere warm. Okay, that cuts out places that are cold at the time you're trying to go. There are going to be times when we are limited by things. The options are not boundless. There are going to be some parameters that we might have to operate our freedom in, but we have freedom. When I go to that ballot and I vote for somebody, okay, these are the only people that's on the ballot. Let me exercise my freedom by voting for the best person within the interests that I care about. If I'm thinking about, okay, where I'm taking this trip, let me choose something based off of the culture that I want to submerge myself into. You have freedom even within the limits that present themselves to you. How we miss that freedom is by viewing everything as a cage, by viewing everything as this impossible thing that you can't overcome, by viewing everybody else as being more powerful than you, and somehow they figured it out and you are destined to be locked at this particular place. That is not in alignment with what God says about us. We have freedom where if we simply speak a thing and believe what we say, that we can move mountains. What mountains are in your life? What thing seems to be in your way? What limit is on your path that you have the freedom to overcome? You have to put a little work on it, a little elbow grease, but it is possible. And that is what our speech unlocks. That is what our prose can do for us. A lot of times we can think about how our speech impacts other people, right? You want to talk in a tone that is palatable. You want to say things that are not hurtful or harmful. You want to be able to say something so eloquently or so entertaining on TikTok so you can get some dollar signs from brands. We think about how our speech needs to be tailored and shaped to get a benefit from somebody else. But what about you being the main beneficiary of your words? What about you being the main person that will benefit by you speaking things that are for your benefit, that are from a place of power and from a place of connection that you have with God and that you have with yourself? When you're connected to your own power, when you're connected to the possibilities of where you could go, when you're connected to what you even are hoping for, what your vision for your life looks like, you can start to use your language to not just benefit other people. They feel good, they're happy with your tone, they feel encouraged to go about their day, but it directly can benefit you. And that is the ultimate power tool, is you being able to put your hands to something and you build, and it is a structure that is one, sound, and it's sound in the word of God, right? It's sound in the truth of the gospel. It's sound in the truth of what God has proclaimed for you to be. But the next level is, it's a structure that you can enjoy, and you want to invite other people into that structure so they can enjoy it. They're asking you, wow, this is grand, this is vast, how did you get it done? And you share your testimony, you share your story with them. That is the ultimate way that our voices are supposed to be used. And we have the freedom of our creativity, the freedom of our connections, the freedom of the visions that we have in our mind, the freedom of all the examples that we have in the Bible to be able to craft our structure to be so unique, where it's like nobody else's story, nobody else's words could have created this but me. That's the freedom that we have. I ain't gonna lie, I've been feeling a little bound by power and prose lately. I've been feeling a little bound by this structure, and I built it, right? I called it to be, hey, I'm gonna have a podcast, and then I created the podcast, and I've been running and editing and sharing the podcast for years. And yet I've been feeling constrained, and not like I can express myself in a certain way, or maybe there are more topics we could dive into, but does that fit this box and XYZ? When I had to remember, I have freedom. I am the creator of this platform. So I'm able to talk about whatever I want to talk about. I'm able to create in a way that is aligned with the mission, but it is expanding what the mission can touch, where it can go, who can be served by this platform. If I operate in a mentality that this is a cage, that's all it will be. And I will max out any further opportunities that could come my way. But if I see it as the true vehicle and structure that it is, I can go to so many more places. You can go to so many more places with what you're doing. But it is all from the understanding that we are creating a structure, and that we're not just getting the blueprint from somebody and then we got to execute it out. We are partners in what the final output comes to be. I mentioned it before, there was an episode, I believe in November, where I was talking about like everything is changing, and it's still happening. It's been a slow burn of what is changing with this platform, and it's because I'm in such a creative state. I feel more playful, I feel more relaxed, I feel just, I don't know, more tied to culture and more tied to myself. I feel more confident in how I'm approaching the world right now, and I want to be able to express that in different ways. And so I just wanted to share that again and ask for y'all to be kind to me as I'm going about figuring that out. You'll probably see me test something, and then maybe I don't do that again because it didn't work well. And you'll see something else and you might really like that. Let your girl know. I am figuring that out too, right? What do I like? What do I not like? What fits the new expansion of what this brand could look like and what doesn't? I'm excited about exploring more topics in culture and how it ties into our voices. I think we're seeing a lot of innovation that's happening right now. I'm seeing a lot of our moguls and savants taking risk and trying new things, expressing themselves in new ways. We talked about Andre 3000 a couple episodes ago, and I'm just really inspired by that right now because it speaks to transition. And frankly, that's where I'm at. I'm transitioning in how I show up in the world and what I enjoy and how other people are connecting to me. And I want to talk more about that and not really keep y'all in the dark about it and reveal it in its final form, but anything that I'm comfortable with, share it in process, in motion. And I think there's a lot to learn about things in motion because it's processing in real time. You're able to get these reactions, and then we build the structure of what the new era of Power and Prose can be together. So I just wanted to kind of drop that. Not sure how it's gonna take shape, but I want you to be involved on the journey. So my DMs are always open. Comments can always be dropped. If there are any thoughts that come to mind, things that you just think are interesting, we can kiki about it, send it to your girl because I love having little chits and chats. But The power tool for this week is to exercise the freedom that you have. Express the freedom that you have and exude the freedom that you have. Express the freedom that you have by recognizing that you have freedom in the first place. Freedom is invaluable. So many people that are restrained right now would kill for freedom. And a lot of us are more free than we know, but we have made ourselves bound in our mind, in our ideas, things that we're clinging on to that no longer serve us, maybe people, places that we're holding on to, and we need to expand. Maybe we don't have to leave or cut folks off, but there's just more for us to see. And for some reason, we've decided that where we're at is the top, but there's another level that we can go to, but it comes from recognizing the freedom that you have. There's freedom in how you express yourself. But if we feel like, oh, well, I can only express myself in this way because that's what people in my field do. That's what I see other people my age doing. That's how my family gets down, XYZ. That's how Christians work. That will hold you back. I felt it. And that ain't the cool kid way. The cool kid way is being you 24/7 all the time, every day of the week. You walking in that freedom, that's where the power is. It's unlocked and restored. Your strength gets higher, the connections get richer by you walking in that freedom. And it's a repetitive thing. You don't just be free one day and then put yourself back in the cage the next day. It's a continual thing. And that's how you see just how much freedom there is to hold in this life. That is something that I think is going to take some practice and some work, which is why we have to exercise it, right? It's going to take a couple reps for you to even feel comfortable with that new level of freedom. When you get a new level of freedom, it doesn't always fit like a glove. There are going to be times when you feel like you're standing out, that it's not a clean fit, that maybe you're impersonating someone else or something else, when really that is the exact space that you're supposed to be in. You're just used to that cage that you were in before. You're used to that old regime, but you voted for a new regime. And so when you align yourself, when you have an allegiance to something new, there's a new pledge that you take up. There are new things that you may say. There's a different creed, a new oath that you can proclaim out of your mouth, right? But if you're thinking about the old way, then you won't feel like you can express those things because the old way didn't allow for you to. That cage, there was no space for that. But when you step out and you really examine and take a look around, you're able to see just how many things are waiting for you to explore it, waiting on you to talk about it. People are waiting to connect with you about that thing. And there's a freedom for both of y'all now, right? Because as you are free and as you're walking in your wholeness and your fullness and your authenticity, you are silently but boldly giving somebody else permission and motivation to do the same thing. And as we do that together, we're congruently working toward this more progressive and open and expansive place where we all can benefit from the new structure that we built. So remember the creativity that you have. Remember that your voice is a weapon. Remember that it can be the blueprint for your future, and that you have the freedom to call things to be that are not in your reality right now. And not only will other people benefit, not only can you break generational curses and all that for your family, but you can directly benefit in this time, in this life, in this month, in this year. You can change everything simply by recognizing that there's everything to be explored. I love you guys. I hope that this is helpful. If you are a cool kid who orders some merch, the orders are officially going out. And I can't wait to see y'all in the merch. I'm wearing my hoodie right now. I literally live in this thing. I'm so excited for you guys to experience the merch. Like, so if you haven't already, of course you can order online, but for the cool kids who have already ordered, y'all go get y'all stuff. Tag me on all the things. You can find me on all the social platforms at Zest of Des or Power and Prose Podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend, girl. And I can't wait to see y'all on the next one. Also on YouTube, I kicked off my Damn Near 30 series because we counting down to 30, y'all. It's approaching. So keep up with me there. I'll kind of be going a bit more, as I talked about, and just exploring the freedoms that I have in this transition period on my way to turning 30, and I want y'all to come along on the ride. So make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and vibe with the kid, and I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.